ice is all melting from the Himalayas and it is trickling down these Himalayan ranges. So it brings along all the mud, slush and sand. So our color changes to almost deep red, brownish red that you would find, something like this. The terracotta, that is how it will be. So people bring that water, and after having got that water, it is not readily drinkable. So what do? They tie alum and stir it in that pot and let it be in there for a couple of minutes and then pull it out. What happens to all this dirt? The alum, it goes and attracts all these particles, and these particles become heavy. When these particles become heavy, what happens to the dirt? It settles down, it sinks to the bottom. Then that upper layer of water is filtered into a different container, boiled and then used for different purposes. Similarly, there is a layer of Ajnana. Here Ajnana again, let me re-insist. Ajnana does not mean the absence of knowledge about any material thing, any worldly thing. It is not absence of the knowledge of mathematics. It is not the absence of knowledge of geography. It is not the absence of knowledge of anything else. Like for example, when we were reading in our school days, Sherlock Holmes was one of our part of our English. So what amused me was he did not know what was he was not, he didn't care about knowing anything about astronomy or astrological things. He didn't know there was a moon that existed. There is some white blob that goes up and down. He didn't care that there are people who could visit that. He said, it doesn't matter to me in my day-to-day utility. Its absence or presence of knowledge doesn't help me a squat in my day-to-day activity. Hence, therefore, I don't bother to know about them. So, the absence of such knowledge is not what we are talking about. Here what we are trying to insist or trying to understand is the self within, the idea of who I am, that we are ignorant about. Each one of us is the glorious supreme in different formats. Do you feel supreme from inside? By mistake. So we would want to claim ourselves as better than the other fellows around us. But when we talk about being the supreme, people look at us and say, why are you unnecessarily poking fun at us? Look at our lives. Can we be supreme? You are that supreme. Not knowing that nature of supreme is called the ignorance of it. So that Ajnana Kalusham, how is it removed? What is the Kataka Renu or the Kataka nut or the alum kind of a thing? Jnana Abhyasa. What is the Jnana Abhyasa? Jnana Abhyasa has various steps. First, Jnana Abhyasa starts from Shravana. See, everything starts with Shravana. You first listen to it. After listening, after the Shravana is done, then Manana, constant churning of that thought. It's not just that the thought is given and hence therefore I accept, but I churn that thought and contemplate on it in various possible angles. Manana. Then comes Nididhyasana. Nididhyasana, a kind of a flowchart application wherein you, after having done manana, take that knowledge, apply it into the world of activities, see as to how far does it fare, and then bring that knowledge back, refeed it in and do the manana and fine tune your own understanding based on your own experience. And that is how wisdom is built. Wisdom is not available in any superstore. Why? Because it is not manufactured in China. It is manufactured right here based on that feedback loop. So Shravana, Shravanat anantaram mananam, manananantaram nididhyasanam. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, the first three sets that we have to follow. Jnana. And after having done enough Shravana, when on the seat of contemplation when we are contemplating, we transcend multipleness of thought and come to a single pointed thought. And what is the single pointedness of thought? Knowing that I am that Brahman. It is still a thought. Settling with that thought on the seat of meditation for as long a period as possible, that it firmly becomes our true nature. This constant abhyasa of Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana is the foundation for Jnana, leading all the way up to Dhyana. Constant Dhyana for an evolved seeker, constant state of Dhyana would be the Abhyasa. Kritva Jnanam, thus having done the serious contemplation on this one aspect. Now people ask, the results are not immediate. Tell me one thing which is in this world which is immediate. We become engineers, we become doctors, we become lawyers, we become various professions that we take to. Did we become that as soon as we were born from mother's womb? How many years of studies did it take? I keep asking this question as to how many years does it take for one to become a doctor? And people say 8 years. I say, what 8 years? You start from your kindergarten and then go all the way till 12th grade. Then after 12th grade, you get into your undergrad. And after undergrad, you give your MCAT. I mixed two of them. You give your MCAT, and after you get through that MCAT, then you spend another 8 years, then 2 years of residency, and then another 3 years of fellowship, minimum 3 years. By the time you are done with all this, before you receive license to kill, intention is license to kill the diseases. It don't get me wrong. You are already 32 to 35 years. Within 35 years consistently worked on that particular thing, you will get that license. And I am told that license is not permanent either. You have to keep renewing it almost every 5 years. Every 5 years you keep renewing it. Just to make sure that you are on par to take care of the patients. Constantly you are putting that effort. So it takes that kind of an effort continuously. That kind of an effort continuously to become a doctor. Similar kind of consistency is required in this field. At the most, what do we do? Once in a while satsang, which is the source for Shravana. Then once in a while, Manana. Though we have if we have, okay, I am just assuming too many things here. If we have it in our daily scheduling that we spend some time in our reading a book or doing the manana and then sitting and doing japa, dhyana, what is the first thing that gets chopped out of our busy day schedule if we don't find time? What is in the lowest ladder? Our spiritual sadhana. Because the spiritual sadhana can wait, the rest of the world cannot wait. With that kind of intensity when we perform, where will be the result? It has to have that sincerity of effort. By the time we mature to understand the sincerity of effort, we have already gone through such a lapse of time that we feel, I wish I had known this when I was young. This is the usual cycle. So here he says that this ajnana is the cause, and the ajnana can be removed only by jnana. All other spiritual processes help us to reach this platform of jnana. Having thus insisted, he moves forward. And he says, what is the reality of this entire world and its experience? He says in the 6th shloka, samsara swapna tulyo hi ragadveshadi sankulaha swakale satyavad bhati prabodhe satya sadbhavet. Samsaraha ragadveshadi sankulaha. This samsara, how is it? Why is it called samsara? See, the root word there is sara. Sara meaning essence. We are trying to find something of a very essential nature. Each one of us, in our own realm, we are trying to find that. Because from inside, there seems to be a vacuum. And we are trying to fill that vacuum with something that which will give us a sense of completeness from within. There was this king, he had 3 sons. I'm sure you might have heard this story. And he said, the kingdom will be given to such one who can fill. He gave them 3 rooms each, big rooms. He gave them 1,000 gold coins. He said, with this, spending this 1,000 gold coins, whoever can fill this entire room with one thing, and it should be cost effective, he will be made as the next king in line. So the first one went, he thought, what would be the cheapest thing that you could get? So he bought all kinds of metal scrap, which was thrown away. So that, anyway, it was useless, fallen there. So he gathered all this unnecessary dirt from the roads and filled the entire room with. The second one thought, who has the time and patience to fill it with such junk? The lightest material which can be fluffy enough to fill this room. So he purchased a lot of cotton and filled that entire space with cotton. And nobody knew what the third fellow was doing, because he had not sent out any scouts, he had not ordered for anything. His Amazon cart was empty. People were reading him on Twitter, Facebook. Nothing was posted anywhere as to what he was trying to fill it in. It was kind of a mystery. So finally, on that day when the evaluation was to be made, the king stepped to the first room. There was no space for him to go in, because it was all filled with that junk. The second room was also equally filled with cotton. The third room that he entered, there was nothing in that room. Absolutely nothing. So the king turned around to this third son of his and said, I gave you 1,000 gold coins to fill this room. Why didn't you fill this? He said, Dad, you are able to see the beautiful space in this room because I have lit the room, every space, every possible nook and corner of that room with a beautiful candle. So the entire room is filled with light. There is no more darkness there. What can be more cost effective than having lighting the entire space? Every nook and corner is taken care of. So something to fill us from within, we are searching. That sara, that essence. So what we do, we go out into the world. Every day this is the same thing. Test it out with relationships. Take it to our heart and then see if it fills. No. Try different kinds of relationships. Nothing seems to be fulfilling. Different kinds of experiences. The routine day-to-day work indeed doesn't seem to be fulfilling. Hence, therefore, take to a total different kind of environment. People do all sorts of things. Have you ever read a Guinness book? I must have read it some 13-14 years ago. After that, I vowed to not read it again. What kind of crazy things people do to feel that kick of life? People do bungee jumping just to feel the rush. They jump off of a cliff. They jump off of a flying plane. All kinds of crazy things we tend to do. Different kinds of experiences that we experiment with. Different people, different experiences, different times. We try to experiment with different places. So first you settle down and come into a new place. Dallas. People ask me, how is Dallas? Flat land meant for corporate offices has nothing to offer for individuals. Is there anything else to visit here? Not much. Downtown? There is no life in downtown. Yeah, maybe you can take. When people in India ask me, where do you live? I tell them Dallas. Where is Dallas? Do you know Kennedy, the US president? Yes, he was killed there. There is a memorial there in downtown. Show them there. So you get bored of this place. Then do what? Anywhere that is drivable distance. So you go explore. 100, 150, 200 miles around radius. So you go explore the entire place. 1 year done. Then what else to do? Been there, done that. Then start exploring all the waterfalls, all the canyons, all the rock formations, all the gardens. Sometimes to the west coast, sometimes to the east coast. When I go to the west coast and see those surfers, I am amazed at their titiksha. Because the water is perennially at around 50 degrees, 45-50 degrees. And in that waters they do surfing. I love the beaches in Miami. Warm water. You can put your feet there. Here you put your feet and you will feel like pulling it out. It's so cold. Then sometimes you have done all this. Then explore the, cruise. 7 days, 6 nights. Cruise. Different places, cruise done. Then visit all the exotic places around. Okay, that also done. After 5 years, you have experimented enough with places. You're constantly experimenting with people, constantly experimenting with environments, constantly experimenting with time, constantly experimenting with places. Constantly trying to see what is it that matches my intensity of feeling that fulfillment from within. And in this effort, what do? What is the parameter? The parameter is we end up dividing the entire world into 2 parts. That which I like, that which I don't like. Irony in this creation is all that which I like is far away from me. All that which I don't like is all around me. So what is samsara for me right now? It's a treadmill syndrome, classic treadmill syndrome. How do I define treadmill syndrome? Running and running and running, reaching nowhere. That is what is a treadmill, right? When I see people on treadmill, I remember that little mouse in the wheel. What do you call them? Hammock? No. Hamster. So it's like they're constantly running and sweating. Where are you going? Nowhere. Why are you running? Similarly, samsara, wherein everybody is constantly day in and day out trying to run. For 2 reasons. Running away from things that they don't like, and running for things that they like. And that also is a very flimsy definition of what you will end up liking and what you don't like. What I like need not be something to your like. And what I like is also not consistent for me. Today I may like something, tomorrow if my health is not well or my mind is not well, the mood is not well, what I like need not be liked again. It's a very flimsy pattern. And we are constantly running. Thorough marathon running, the entire life. And do you think that the end days are peaceful? No. Even there we have, I don't want to get into a hospital. Why make yourself miserable? If that is what happens, let it happen. No, I have made it very clear. And my prayers to the Lord are very simple. Oh Lord, let me die when everything is in its... Who are we to decide? Did we decide the day and time to come? That we have to make ourselves miserable, that, let me die today, let me die today. That's why somebody asked Gurudev, can you look into my palm hand and tell me about my future? As to how long I will live, what I will do, what is my future. Gurudev said, I don't need to look into your hand, but I can tell you what can be given in your hand so that you can work in the present. Your future can be rest assured. That is what I know. When say we are constantly, everything becomes a source of worry. And that is why this samsara is called Swapnatulyahi. Samsaraha Swapnatulyohi Ragadveshadi Sankulaha. Filled with raga and dvesha, likes and dislikes. Swakale Satyavad Bhati. Why is it called Swapnatulyaha? The dream world, Swapna means dream. Tulyaha, like a dream world. In dream world, see, the other day, I was running. There was a tiger chasing. and when that through the jungle I was running, and one fraction of a second I turned to look if the tiger was right behind me or I had maintained a gap. I was glad to know that I was maintaining a gap, but the moment I turned, there was a branch, there was not time to escape that. It hit me on my forehead, and third I fell from my bed. Just before I fell down from my bed, the tiger had caught up with me. And I was doing Mrityunjaya mantra. What else can a sannyasi do? Om Trambakam Yamaya Sugandhim Pushparam Vandhanam Amritat. And the tiger also happened to be a spiritual tiger. It also took some water in its palm. It said Brahmarpanam Brahmavi Brahmagno Brahmana. The mantra before having a meal. It appeared so real that when I hit the floor, I woke up. I was sweating. Nightmares sometimes. People scream, people shout. People sometimes, especially kids, I have seen, they sleep in one direction, wake up in a totally different direction. You must have seen with your own kids. They play soccer. ऐसे लात मारते हैं बाप रे. Balvihar camps, we have seen them. That's why we are scared to put them on a bunk beds. What if somebody plays soccer and he is a goalkeeper, jumps off to catch the ball off the bunk bed down to the floor, third. So I tell kids, don't have such dreams because the floor is not insured. You are insured, the floor is not insured. So when you wake up from that nightmare, you look so disoriented. But then when you realize that it is you who have woken up. All that which you have seen in the dream, was it real? It is not real for the one who has woken up. True. But for the one who is still dreaming, how does it appear to that person? It appears as real as a waking world. In fact, as much as I was the part running in my dream, who was that I running? It was my own mind. Who was the forest? It was my own mind. Who was the branch which finally knocked me out? My own mind. And who was that spiritual tiger reading Brahmarpanam Brahmavi? It was my own mind. But at that moment when I was in the dream running for my life, could I have known? Very difficult. Because at that time, what is important is my life, protecting my life. And the tiger is more important. Or rather, to escape from the tiger is more important. And at that time, a sadhu comes in your dream. Part of your dream sequence. Holds you by shoulder, pulls you aside. You are dreaming this, Baba. This is not real. You're still panting, you're still huffing and puffing. If you can protect me from the tiger. Otherwise, leave my hands, let me protect myself. Would we have time and attention to pay? To listen to those, heed to those words? Yes, if we had known that it was just a dream. That is what Adi Shankara is trying to do. Swakale satyavat bhati. Prabodhe sati, when you wake up, asat bhavet. It's only when you wake up you realize that it is not the same as we had thought while we were in dream. samsara swapnatulyo hi ragadveshadi sankulaha swakale satyavad bhati prabodhe sati asat bhavet. Continuing on the same thought, in the next shloka he says, Tavat satyam jagad bhati shuktika rajatam yatha yavan nagnayate brahma sarvadhisthanamadvayam. You are walking in the beach, beautiful white sand. Have you ever been to such beautiful spots? White sand. It's a cool breeze, warm water splashing on your feet, and you are walking on the beach. As you are walking, in a certain distance, you thought you saw a chain, a necklace, probably made of silver, lying there, and that triggered some inquisitiveness in you. You quickly quit the shore, ran to the place where you thought you saw the silver. As you were getting closer, there were those morning joggers and the dog walkers. There was a group of them walking by, and right in front of them you didn't want to pick that precious thing. So what did you do? You stepped on it. What you thought or where you thought you saw a necklace, you stepped on it. Then you stood there with a very precarious smile on your face and wishing them good morning. See, sometimes the gestures from one part of geography to the second part or other part of geography, it can mean various things. Like in India, if somebody were to come to you and do this, imagine yourself in India, and if somebody were to come to you, unknown stranger, to do this, it almost means kya hai? Why are you here? Who the heck are you? Kind of a demand. In this country, I was almost like, first few months, I used to go to this SMU for talks, and the student congregation area, that student area, there was a gym, and there were these African Americans. They were taller than me. I am 6, and I had to look at them like this. Taller, wider, every dimension that you can think of. So first few times I went by, then I started looking at them, then they looked at me, and then I was scared. I'm coming from India, what can you expect? So if somebody did this, I was like, I'm just going to that classroom there. So they would give me that weird look. Cool, man, cool. I said, okay, fine, you're cool, I am cool, and then run into the classroom. Then finally, one of the 12th graders caught up with that, and I said, if somebody looks at you and does this, what does it mean? It says hi. Is that only hi? Because I had these guys there who were saying this, I thought they were challenging me or my presence there. But it was not that, it was just saying hi. So, coming back to the beach, so you look at them and you say this. I wish them, hello, how are you? Good morning. Not that anybody is keen about telling them about themselves or listening about how you are. just a formality. You say hi, you say hello, good morning, wish them. And you thought you will get a moment privacy to pick that and put it in your pocket. Did not get time because a rush kept coming in. Before somebody else could notice it, there was a little hand towel on your shoulder. On your shoulder. You picked that up, slowly dropped it down, and the probable spot where you thought there was the necklace. You slowly covered it, picked the towel along with it, the necklace also, and slowly went to your little space under the tree, sat down, carefully opened it, dusted off all the sand, and then you looked at your precious necklace. And what is that necklace? It happened to be a seashell. Have you seen the seashells, the big ones? The seashell was shining in that sun. It gave the picture as though it was silver. And for that you had put such an effort to conceal it, and at that moment when you find that it was nothing but a shell, the moment you find it, you have realized its true nature. How do you feel realizing the true nature? So once a Mahatma was asked, we were there with him, and this Mahatma ji, a very great Mahatma. So somebody asked him, how would you explain the experience of realization? And what he said shocked us at that moment, but it stayed back as a very good memory. He said, realization is, it puts you in perspective, it humbles you, because you realize how stupid you were. It was right there, like you have your eyeglasses, and you have such a power that you cannot read anything around you without those eyeglasses, and you have been frantically searching for them in that one busy afternoon. And when somebody found you searching for it, looked at you, gave that weird smile, and pointed them right on your nose. And then when you find them right there, how do you feel? You have realized the eyeglasses. How do you feel? So that is what that Mahatma said. It was so obvious right there, and we don't see it. There's nothing to claim that now I am realized and I am great. It just humbles you because you have been so stupid not realizing it. So this Shuktika is a shell which appears like Rajata, which appears like silver, so long as we don't investigate into its true nature. The moment we investigate it, we understand what its true nature is. We seldom get fooled by the Shuktika, the shell. Similarly, Jagat Bhati Satyam, this whole universe appears as real. Now here, the word appearing as real has to be understood in the right sense, because we have given a certain etymological or empirical meaning to that word real or reality. The moment we say it is unreal, we will think that it is non-existent. That is not what it is meant. The entire universe can be divided into two parts. One is called Ishvara Srishti or Isha Srishti, and the second one is called Jiva Srishti, created by the individual Jiva. That which is created by the Lord, Ishvara Srishti, the entire world of material, entire matter, is beautiful in its own place. We are also part of the matter that He has created, as a matter of fact. How many are we today as a species? Homo sapiens. We just crossed 7 billion. No two people look similar. Imagine how many, 7 billion plus population that He has created, and each one looks different. They do the fingerprinting. Each one has a unique fingerprinting identification. Each one is so distinct and separate. A tree. Leaf between one tree and another species of tree may look entirely different, but within the tree, when the leaves are all looking similar, when you look two leaves together, they look similar, but they are not the same. It's such an amazing beauty that He has created. Every aspect of it in its own unique balance. The entire universe. As He has created, that material and that matter is amazing in its place. Based off of that Ishvara Srishti, what do we as individuals create? We create a pseudo world projecting on that Ishvara Srishti. We create my world, your world. As soon as there is this I, it always feels competed and compared to you. So as long as there is I, there is mine. There is always you and yours. So there is always comparison. A comparison that, if everybody is working in the same office, everybody is getting the same salary, why are we still living in an apartment? Look at the other person, look at your friend, look at your peers. They are living in a bigger house. Okay, you finally get a house. 3-4 months into the house, and you realize apartment was far better. Why? Anything goes wrong with the apartment. Any faucet, anything that happens with that apartment facility, you just inform the management, they will come fix it for you. When you start owning the house, you start becoming a carpenter, electrician, a plumber, everything that you can imagine. You have to be on your knees and on your floor trying to fix everything. You create a big house, a big facility, and then you call, this is my space, my house, my attributes, my things. I created my world from scratch. You must have been pretty bad at scratching. Because what we call as we created our world is not that we have created any matter. That matter which is already created by the Lord, we only stake our claim, saying that this is mine. And because we stake our claim and call it mine, we are creating a competitive zone. This I, mine, you, yours, and all the attributes of these comparison and competitions and confusions, that world is called unreal, like the dream. It is imaginary. Does the shloka reach out? So that aspect of creation is what is called as imaginary. Yavat na jnayate brahma sarvadhisthana advayam. to understand that the entire creation and its attributes and its manifestations is nothing but the divine in his expression alone. Meaning every aspect of this creation is nothing but divinity in expression. Do we see divinity in matter? Do we see divinity in the chair we are sitting in? Do we see divinity on the lectern? Do we see in any wall, anything that we interact with? That is the difference between Prahlada and Hiranyakashipu. What is the difference? Prahlada could see that divine even in the inanimate. Hiranyakashipu refused to perceive the divine even in the animate, even in the sentient. And that is why his name was called Prahlada. Ahlada means happiness, joy. In every aspect of life. Prakarshena ahladayati. Because he could perceive that divinity in and through every aspect of this creation. So who is a jnani? The one who has that subtle perception. Who is a ajnani? Who has the gross perception that everything is just matter and not divine. And that matter which we can claim, stake as mine or as yours. Swakale satyavat bhati. Tavat satyam jagat bhati. Yavan na jnayate brahma sarva adhishtanam advayam. And that supreme is Advaya Brahma, non-dual Brahma. There is no duality in that Brahman. Meaning, this entire creation as it is created, it is not other than the creator, but it is the very expression of that creator's creativity. When we create something, it is something other than us as we create. But this entire creation, including you and me, every aspect of this creation is Advayam, non-dual. It is the very nature of that supreme in expression. And that is the reason in Vishnu Sahasranama, you have heard of Vishnu Sahasranama, right? The first word of Vishnu is not Vishnu. It says Vishnu Sahasranama, but that 1,000 names starts with Vishwam. See, the first shloka is Vishwam Vishnurva Shatkaro Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu. It starts with Vishwam, meaning the entire cosmos as we see is nothing but an expression of that divine alone, that divinity in expression. So talking about that, he says in the 8th shloka, Satchidatmanyanusyute Nitye Vishnau Prakalpitaha. Will it be? Okay, I will have it. One thing is clear. Yes, that I have a gathering which is awake. Okay, I must have missed it. Okay, repeat after me. Upadane khiladhare जगन्ति परमेश्वरे सर्गस्थितिलयान्यान्ति स्थितिलयान्यान्ति बुद्बुदानीव वारिणी. This is a beautiful thought with our philosophers, a very beautiful thought given here. Says, the example taken here is the waters. Water in the ocean. So the water in the ocean comes out, surges out in various modes of expression. Sometimes it's a big wave. I am told in certain parts of Hawaii they are dangerously big, almost 8 to 9 feet tall. And recently, a few years ago, we had the wall of a wave. We called it tsunami. What, 35 feet, 30 feet, even more than that. A wall of wave. So, what was that wall? Nothing but the ocean. A format of ocean in that big, huge wave. A smaller wave. A gentle little wave in the shores. If you've seen those small kids in near the ocean, they go chasing the water receding into the ocean, and almost as they have chased it back, the water chases them back. So there are little waves that they are swinging in and out on the shores. And if there is a rock, the Vivekananda rock, right in the middle of the ocean, so you sit on that rock and observe. The water splashes onto the rock, and because of that constant splashing, there is froth, and it just splits into the droplets of water sprinkling around. And somewhere in the corner, in an edge, there is a constant splashing of water, and there are these bubbles that are churned out. And no sooner that they are released, they break. No sooner that they are released, they break. So from a big gigantic wave to a small bubble, various shapes that the ocean takes. Constantly it keeps churning out into various shapes and formats. If you look at a wave, so that wave is starting, building. Sarga, to build, to be created. Because of various favorable conditionings, there is a wave generated. It's raising. So most of these surfers, they go right into the middle of the ocean and they study the waves. And when they find the right wave in the making, they swim right across and place themselves on the surge of that wave. And once they catch the wave, that's the word they use. Once they catch the wave, they suddenly spring onto the board. As they spring onto the board, now they have to maintain their balance along with the movement on the wave. Sometimes it is beautiful to watch them, that they not only catch the wave, but they go through the wave. The waves are so huge that they have surged on the top of it, and as the waters churn and circle around, they go in that water tunnel. Amazing blue tunnel that nature creates, and they go through it. So that is the sthiti. The wave is now reached to its beautiful zenith, and it is now taking various shapes. Before the wave merges back to become the ocean, the surfer has to cleanly pull himself or herself out. Or else what happens? The wave has enough energy, enough strength to pull you down. Before the wave catches you, you have to get out of the wave. Catching the wave you think is difficult? No, difficult than the catching the wave was to be in the wave. More difficult than being in the wave is to get out of the wave before the wave catches you. So there is the wave created, there is the maintenance of the wave, and the wave merges back. So as the wave was being generated, the shape was getting created, was it anything other than the ocean? As it got a shape of its own, did it become really anything other than the ocean? No. As it merges back into the ocean, does anything happen to the ocean? Is anything gained or lost by the ocean? It rises from the ocean, takes a different form, and merges back into the ocean. The entire ocean surface around on this globe, how many waves are being born every moment? Any idea? Difficult, right? Or impossible? Almost an impossibility. Creation of these many waves, does the ocean get depleted? Destruction of these many waves, does it change the essential nature of the ocean? There is another beautiful aspect, the final one is whether it is in the form of ocean or in the form of a wave which is being generated, wave which is merging, has anything changed to the essential nature of water? Nothing changes. Similarly, the entire creation, the creator takes himself into three different forms. Don't jump into conclusion about the creator, sustainer and destroyer. That is not where we are trying to take this logic. In order to have this experience of creation, the creator takes three forms. That supreme takes three forms. One is called the material cause of this universe. The second is called the efficient or the intelligent cause of this universe. And the third, the instrumental cause of this universe. Let me explain it through an example. Once tried my hand with pottery. I found a potter. Luckily he was not belonging to the Harry category. He was not the Harry Potter kind. He was just an ordinary potter, true to his profession. He didn't have a wand, but he had a wheel, a potter's wheel. So he invited, he said, "Why do you want to try your hand on it?" you want to dirty your hands, because you have to get into the. So I observed him. The mud, clay, is mixed to a certain proportion, and then the wheel is set to spin. On that wheel they throw the lump of mud and slowly carve out beautiful shapes of pots, flower pots, various sizes and shapes. So I also tried my luck. Raising the mud into a certain shape to a certain level was a no-brainer. You just have to have some consistency in your hands, you can make it. But the amazing skill is when they bend it into the pot and then raise it. That is where the skill is. They are working against gravity. Imagine that slim, that thin surface is still wet, and they are working against gravity to maintain the angle. What an expertise that they must have been trained into. Every time I turned the mud into that curve, everything would fall back. So with a potter, just because you have a wheel spinning and you have mud on it, you have this clay on it, can the pots be churned out? No. There has to be intelligent, one skilled intelligence who can use that equipment and the material. The equipment here is, the instrument here is the wheel, the material is the clay, and the potter himself is the intelligent cause to create different pots. Similarly, for this creation, with this creation in perspective, all these three aspects of material cause, instrumental cause and the efficient cause or the intelligent cause are the Paramatma alone. So what is the material of this universe? Like the material of the wave, which is nothing other than an extension of the ocean. We may be recognizing it as a wave. Go ask the ocean, thanks for such a beautiful wave. The ocean would look confused. What wave? What are you talking? It is me only expressing in that way. It is not something other than me. The wave may carry a little pride. Now I am the tallest wave that before the wave can realize that it has reached to the heights of its expression, it falls back again. The entire creation is an expression, an extension and a creation of the intelligence of that Supreme alone. Upadane akhiladare jaganti parameshware. The Supreme alone is the material, the intelligent and the efficient cause for this entire universe. Like the ocean is the cause for the wave or a bubble. Now can you imagine how many waves are being created? That's why we say even in our Arati here, Asya Devadevasya Devata Sarvabhaumasya Akhilanda Koti Brahmanda Nayakasya. Brahmanda is one cosmos. Akhilanda Koti Brahmanda. How many cosmoses? Innumerable number of cosmoses across. Meaning, you and me, are we the only human species? Probably not. So that it is not a universe, it is a multiverse. There are that many. If there are that many universes, for lack of better word, You mean to say there are other beings there? There are not only that there are other beings, but they are also very intelligent beings. Why? Knowing that there are human beings on planet Earth, they have never tried contacting us. That shows their intelligence. What else need be the proof? Jokes apart. If the ocean can take into such creative formats of various waves, and we cannot even count the wave that the ocean churns out, from that supreme, the cosmoses are like waves. How many waves can be created in that supreme? Innumerable, infinite number. And that is the significance of us chanting every single satsang, the last mantra. Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Theory of infinity. That supreme is infinite. Mathematically, from infinity, when you take out something, you cannot pull out finitude. If you happen to pull out finitude from that so-called infinite, it was never infinite in first place. Infinite is something which cannot be ascertained in terms of few finitudes put together. So when you take out a bit of finitude, that means it was finite. So whatever you have taken out from that infinite has to be infinite itself. So when you subtract something from infinite, you can only take out infinite. When you even go into the real number analysis, there is never a quantity called zero. And there is no finite number called 1. Why is there that we cannot have a finite number called 1? Because in between 0 to 1, there are infinite possibilities of fractions. Isn't it? So that itself is a very infinite number. There is nothing finitude about 1. If 1 itself is infinite, anything more than that is just arbitrary number. So this entire universe is an expression which is an extension of that infinite. So that which is expressing from the infinite, what should be the nature of that universe? It cannot be finitude. If there is an assumption of finitude, if we find ourselves in finitude and find ourselves limited by it, it is purely in our imagination. And that which is imaginary cannot be real. That which is real has to be infinite in nature. Purnasya Purnamadaya. When from the Purna Tattva something is taken, it has to be essentially Purna by nature. Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam eva avasishyate. It has to be essentially Purna, infinite by nature. That is the reason Purnamadaha Purnamidam. That is Purna and this also happens to be Purna. Meaning, you, me, every particle of this universe is nothing but infinite by nature essentially. So who are we? Infinite. Do we experience that infinite? No. Why do we not experience? Because we feel ourselves to be limited, flawed with that limitation, we find ourselves finite. That finite acceptance by our existence is called unreal, like the unreality of Shuktika and Rajata, like the unreality of the creation of the wave as separate entity from the ocean, sustenance of it, and the merging of it back into the ocean. A very beautiful thought given. There's a lot of thought to contemplate on. उपादाने अखिलाधारे जगन्ति परमेश्वरे सर्गस्थिति लयान्यांति बुद्बुदानीव वारिणी. And then continuing he says, Sacchidatmanyusyute Nitye Vishnau Prakalpitaha Vyaktayo Vividhas Sarvaha हाटके काटकादिवत. I am told like there is a stock market, there is similarly a market for gold. Gold is also something which is, I have never seen it drop. It has constantly been growing. And this gold has been a fascination of mankind from eternity. We find it in Ramayana, we find it in Egyptian tombs, we find it in the Dwaraka excavations. I am talking of tens and thousands of years. Gold has always been the fascination of mankind. And the fashion takes a very strange circle. Gurudev in one of his lectures, he used to say that fashion is like it starts from here, goes all the way here and then comes back here. So it starts with full sleeves, then it becomes half sleeves, then it becomes sleeveless, then again becomes full sleeves. Similarly with gold. If it is this big and you wear it around your wrist, it is called a bangle. Almost same size, and you wear it here, it becomes a earring. Fashions keep changing. Accordingly, a human fascination, we keep changing our gold, remodeling our gold. Isn't it? So, waist belt made of gold. Have you gone to any Arangetrams? Have you had enough luck as mine to attend Arangetrams? I didn't realize until I came to this country that I have been having such a stock in pile for Arangetrams. So the dancers, they have a golden belt. Katibandha, waist belt. Then there are the I don't know what they call it. Not actually amulets. There's some specific names over dance mein. Okay, wangis. I've just learnt that. So there is something that you wear here, something that you wear here, something on your wrist, something on your shoulders, something on the middle of the forehead, then something on the hair, something on the tuft that which is made of the hair on that actually is called Chudamani. How do I know? Because Viveka Chudamani, that is where I read the description of what Chudamani is. That is what Sita ji gives to Hanumanji as a token to be given to Ramji after having received the Rama Mudrika. So these are all various shapes and sizes. So somebody said, Swamiji, I am not that materialistic. Whatever gold I had, I made beautiful Ram Parivar out of it. I have Lord Rama, Sita, Lakshmana, Bharata, Shatrughna, the entire throne, Hanumanji there. So my altar is adorned with Ram Parivar. All the gold that we had, we remodeled it into Ram Parivar. So this entire family went into a real bad time. So the son, the father was no more. The son, who was also a devout Ram Bhakta, out of such desperate situations, he said, Rama, sorry that I have to dethrone you, because survival of the fittest. I will arrange a temporary seating for you. I will take your throne. So the throne was made of gold. So he took it to the market. It was exquisitely made. But the shopkeeper there, would he look at that time of purchasing it for its exquisiteness or for its worth of being gold? Worth of being gold. So whatever was the gold rate then, somewhere plus or minus, more of minus than plus, bargained the rate and gave that person. Still the recession period did not hit good times. After a certain while, the platform on which this entire Ram Parivar was kept, that was taken. A simple cloth design was kept and on which Ramji was there. Then after a certain time, Hanumanji had to be parted with. Then Bharata, Lakshmana, Shatrughna, everybody parted. Finally came the turn of Rama to the rescue. He said, I agree that you have given me gold rate for everyone, but this is Rama. He has to be more than the others. He said, maybe for you, but for me, it is nothing more than gold. Right? From the essential standpoint, it has always been gold. Whether you look at it as Rama, whether you look at it as Bharata, or whether you look at it as Hanumana or the pedestal, it has always been gold. Similarly, all the names and forms that we see, what is this? A jug of water. What is this? A lectern. What is it that you are sitting on? A chair or a mat. We have given various names to various forms. As soon as the name is uttered, we can visualize a form. As soon as a form is introduced, we can visualize a name. Nama Rupa. Constantly we are interchanging between nama and rupa. We see nama, we hear nama, we think of a rupa. We think of a rupa, we immediately think of its nama. It's constantly interchanging. But this nama and rupa is something which has been ascertained on that which exists. Satchidatman Atmani Anusyute Nitye Vishnau Prakalpitaha. On that which is conscious and that which is Nitya, eternal, Vishnu, the entire forms of names are being imagined. Why do we call this a lectern? Why not something else? We can call it something else too. So if you know multiple languages, it is fun interpreting it one language in a different language. Like if a Malayali says chor, what does he mean? He means cooked rice. You should have looked at their expression. For a person who speaks Hindi, what does chor mean? Thief. It's the same word, chor. But in one language it has a different meaning and different expression. In another language it is totally different. There are people who say, so Tamil and Telugu are so similar, right? I said, which angle? No, there are certain words that are common. Those common words are common almost in every other language. But there are some which are so uncommon, it will be funny to watch. So the cooked dal in Tamil is called Tamilians, Parupu. Tell a Telugu person what a Parupu is. It means bedding. In one language it is bedding, the other language it is cooked dal. For something which is, ask a Gujarati, they will say che. In Hindi, the che means 6. I am just confusing you with Indian language. 6-7 years ago, there was this singer. Her name caught my attention. Her name was Ashanti. I was wondering as to why would somebody name oneself as Ashanti? And it bothered me. So I kept researching, trying to find the root word for Ashanti in different other languages. Then I found in some African languages, you can tell me later which African language. Ashanti means an emperor or a king. In Sanskrit, Ashanti means turmoil. In some other language, Ashanti means an emperor. Then I tried to pacify myself, telling that in today's world, the only one who can bring turmoil to any nation is its own king. Because at that time, remember who was our president? This country's president. The king, right? At that time. A fellow Dallas one. Only a king can bring Ashanti. Ashanti means king, Ashanti means turmoil. It perfectly matched. Different languages, different names, different forms. Same word again. When you hear it, it appears the same. But the meanings are different. So the name can be different, forms can be different. All of these are being ascertained onto that Paramatma. There are some people say, there are some good words, bad words. There is no good word, no bad word. there is sound, and we attribute a certain meaning to that sound. The first time I was speaking, and they said, he was cursed that he will be in eternity to the hell. You should have seen the Balvihar kids. Oh, he said the H word. I didn't realize that in this country hell is not to be pronounced. It has to be just referred to as H word. Okay. Because the attribute of meaning given is individual. It's totally, it can be, that is why in Bhagavad Gita it says, Shabda khe paurusham rushu. I express not only as the sacred syllable of Om, but I also express as any sound. We give different attributes to it. Similarly, the entire creation is nothing but an extension of that Paramatma. The names and forms that we have attributed meaning to it is what keeps us binding. Transcend the Nama and Rupa, find the essence in essential reality. And then he takes to the next level of discussion, which we will see tomorrow. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.